I never imagined I'd find myself seeking advice from strangers, but after what happened at Thanksgiving, I need an outside perspective. One that isn't emotionally invested in my marriage or my in-laws. My husband and I have been married for just over 2 years. Before we got serious, he warned me that his family could be a bit much at times, but I brushed it off. I come from a small, relatively normal family, and I was excited to become part of a larger one, eager to embrace the traditions and closeness that came with it. At first, everything was wonderful. His parents were welcoming, his siblings were friendly, and I truly enjoyed spending time with them. But things changed the moment we got engaged. It started subtly, little favors here and there that seemed innocent enough. My mother-in-law would call at odd hours, asking me to pick up groceries from a store nearly 40 minutes away or help her rearrange furniture when my husband wasn't available. I didn't mind at first. I wanted them to like me, and I assumed this was simply how close-knit families operated. Then the requests became more intrusive. My sister-in-law once called me on a weeknight, asking me to babysit her 3 young children, each under 5 years old, with less than an hour's notice. I had an important presentation at work the next morning, and when I hesitated, she said, "Really being part of the family means always being there, no questions asked." I ended up doing it, despite being utterly exhausted the next day. Another time, my father-in-law asked me to help him move heavy equipment for his business on a Saturday I had set aside to visit my own parents, whom I hadn't seen in months. When I suggested another day, he made pointed remarks about priorities and proving commitment to your new family. I gave in, canceling my plans yet again. Each time I complied, I would overhear whispers of approval. "She passed that one. She's doing better than the last one." I mentioned it to my husband, but he laughed it off. "They test everyone," he said. "Don't take it personally." After the wedding, things escalated. His brother asked to borrow a significant amount of money, insisting it was an emergency. When I suggested discussing it with my husband, since we share finances, he became offended. "Don't you trust your new family?" he asked. "This stays between us." Against my better judgment, I lent him the money. Though he eventually repaid it, it was only after repeatedly missing deadlines and forcing me to chase him down for it. The most disturbing incident happened last summer. My mother-in-law called me in tears, hysterical, saying she had a huge fight with my father-in-law and needed me to come pick her up immediately. Without hesitation, I dropped everything and drove an hour to get her. But when I arrived, she was perfectly calm, sipping tea with a friend. She laughed and said she had just wanted to see how quickly I would come if she needed me. I was furious but swallowed my anger. Throughout all of this, my husband continued to minimize their behavior. That's just how they are. They did the same thing to me when I brought home girlfriends. They've always tested people like this. When I pressed him about why he never explicitly warned me, he admitted that his ex-wife had failed their tests, and that had created tension from the beginning. I tried to be understanding. I really did. I kept telling myself this was just their unique family dynamic and that I needed to adjust. But with each demand, the expectations grew more outrageous, more inconsiderate of my time, my boundaries, and my dignity. Then came Thanksgiving. We were hosting this year, which already had me stressed. I had spent 3 days preparing, determined to make everything perfect. An hour before our guests were set to arrive, my sister-in-law called, saying her oven had broken and she needed to cook her assigned dishes at our place. When she showed up, she hadn't prepped a single ingredient. Everything was completely raw, and she took over half my kitchen. Then, during dinner, my mother-in-law casually announced that she and my father-in-law would be staying with us for 2 weeks over Christmas, rather than the 3 days we had previously agreed upon. I must have looked shocked because she gave me a knowing smile and said, "That won't be a problem, will it? Family accommodates family, after all." And that was the moment I snapped. As Thanksgiving unfolded, I found myself at a breaking point. It was supposed to be a celebration, a gathering of family, but instead, it became the moment when I finally said out loud what I had been silently enduring for 2 years. It started with my brother-in-law, who casually mentioned that he had volunteered me to make 15 homemade gift baskets for his office by next week. He spoke as if we had already discussed it, as if I had agreed, but we hadn't. I hadn't even heard about it until that moment. Before I could process that, my father-in-law dropped an even bigger bombshell. The family had booked a cabin for a vacation next summer. It sounded fine, until he added that they had put the deposit down under my name, using my credit card. The total was over $3,000. I hadn't authorized any of it. My husband had given them my financial information without my knowledge. Something inside me snapped. I stood up, my voice calm but unwavering. "I know what you're doing," I said, looking around the table. "I've known for a while. This testing thing isn't quirky or cute. It's manipulative and disrespectful. And I'm done participating in it." A heavy silence fell over the room. I could feel every pair of eyes on me. Still, I continued. "I have spent the past 2 years bending over backward, trying to prove myself worthy of this family. I've canceled my own plans, lent money, dropped everything at a moment's notice, all to pass these ridiculous tests. But they're never going to stop, are they? There will always be another hoop to jump through, another boundary to push, another demand I'm expected to meet just to prove I belong." My mother-in-law tried to cut in, her voice sharp with protest, insisting I was overreacting. But I wasn't finished. "No," I said firmly. "I am not overreacting. What is an overreaction is believing it's acceptable to toy with someone's life like this. I love my husband, and I've tried to love all of you. But love isn't about endless trials. It's not conditional. It's not a game where you see how much you can take from someone before they break." Then I turned to my husband. He hadn't said a word, his eyes fixed on his plate. My heart clenched at his silence, but I spoke the truth anyway. "And you," I said softly, but with all the weight of my disappointment. "You've let this happen. You've enabled it from the start. Instead of standing up for me, instead of even warning me properly, you let them treat me like this because it was easier than confronting the toxic patterns in your family." I placed my napkin down, took one last look at the stunned faces around me, and walked out. I didn't stop. I left the house, got into my car, and drove aimlessly for hours, trying to calm the storm inside me. When I finally returned home, the house was silent. Everyone was gone. My husband was in the kitchen, quietly cleaning up. He didn't say a word that night, and neither did I. The next morning, however, he finally spoke. He admitted he had known exactly what his family was doing. He admitted he should have put a stop to it long ago. He told me their tests had already driven away his first wife and had strained relationships with his siblings' spouses as well. He promised, this time, things would be different. He promised to set firm boundaries. I want to believe him. I really do. But after 2 years of being manipulated, used, and disrespected, my trust is shattered. His family has been flooding my phone with messages, some apologizing, others accusing me of ruining Thanksgiving and disrespecting their traditions. My husband insists he's ready to stand up to them, that he sees things clearly now, but I don't know if I can go through this again. Am I overreacting for considering a separation until he proves he can truly set boundaries? Or should I give him the chance to make this right? I never thought my marriage might reach a breaking point over a Thanksgiving dinner. But here we are. For those who have dealt with difficult in-laws, I'd appreciate any advice. To address some common questions. 1. Yes, my husband is already in therapy for anxiety. I've suggested adding couples counseling specifically to deal with this boundary issue. 2. Looking back, there were red flags while we were dating. He would change our plans at the last minute because his mom or sister needed something. I mistook it for him just being a caring son and brother. 3. His first marriage lasted less than a year. He always told me they simply weren't compatible, but now I wonder if she just refused to play their game. 4. I've been reading some of your comments to my husband, and the outside perspective is helping him realize just how toxic and abnormal his family's tradition really is. 5. We're meeting with his parents this weekend to establish clear boundaries. I've made it clear this is his last chance to prove he can prioritize our marriage. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to read this and offer their support. It means more than I can say to know I'm not crazy for feeling violated by their behavior.